Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to do a video that I've had requested quite a bit, and that is a water brush comparison video. Now, I don't have all of the water brushes that are available in the world, although I do have quite a few, and I'm going to show you what I have. I will mention a couple that I don't have that are on the market and fairly popular today, and I also invite you, because I don't know everything, I invite you to share your opinions on the water brushes you've used in the comments below, and that way we can help one another, and everyone can kind of learn from each other and decide what's going to suit their art best. I don't claim to tell you what is best for you, and this is just going to kind of show you what I have, and these are some fairly popular brands, and you can make a decision based on that. So I will talk about the brand, I'll talk about the price, and availability, and whatnot, so that you can kind of get a good idea. So as you can see, lots of different brands make these. I'm going to kind of go through probably most expensive to least expensive here. And I am going to start off with this Karen-Watercolor water brush. Now, this is the large size. They do have a small and a medium size as well. And this one you have to fill very specifically. It's got a tiny little hole here, and it's got a plunger that you pull back. So what you do is you sit this in a cup of water and you draw back the plunger. Or you can put it under your faucet and you draw back the plunger, and that's going to, through a vacuum, it's going to suck the water into the body. And then as you use it up, then the plunger goes in, and then you can refill it. And there's a little rubbery pad here that's very easy to squeeze, and you can see it releases a drop of water. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this one, and I wrote Karen-Dosh there in my barely legible handwriting, and I'm just gonna squeeze a little drop of water on my watercolor paints over here, and I'll just show you how this large one performs. Granted, there are two smaller sizes, and this is the large tip, and I'll just show you that, how big that is. It's probably, I would say, about the size of a number 8. So if I use it straight up and down, I'll get a fairly skinny line. As long as I make contact with the paper, I can press down and get a wider line. I can make little kind of teardrops there. And I'm just working on like a, just on like a drawing paper, just because I wanted to have something that was big enough that I could put under here and not worry about wasting on this demo. Not that it's a waste, but it's just, you know, I'm just pretty much showing you brush control here. And to clean your brush, no matter what kind you're using, you just squeeze it and wipe it on a towel. And then we could grab another color here, and we could just kind of add it to it and just see. You can go in there and mix. I think water brushes are great for travel, but they are not my favorite type of brushes. If I'm in the studio, I generally will use my regular brushes. So that is the Karen-Dosh brush, and you can see it's a little bit bigger than the other ones because of the plunger handle. But it does work pretty good. It is about $10 a pop though, so it is the most expensive water brush that I have. The next ones I want to show you are the Koi water brushes. Now, if you have the little Koi sketch box of watercolors, you're probably familiar with this. And the thing I like about the Koi brushes is that, I don't know if they all do, but all the three that I do, they come in 2 parts. And what I like is that you can fill this with water, and you can plug it up and store it in a fairly compact fashion in your sketch box, in your travel bag, in your pocket. And then when it's time to paint, you take out the plug, put it somewhere where you're not going to lose it, and then you replace the cap. And this is the large size, so I did buy 2 of these smaller ones, or actually those 2 might be the medium point, and this is the fine point, and I'll just show you these. These are even tinier, so I take this off, and I keep the little stoppers right there in one of the packages just so I don't lose it, but you can see how small this would break down to. Really, really tiny if I wanted to travel with that. But if I'm using it in my bag is big enough, my travel bag, so I just leave the stoppers here so I don't lose them. So let's take a look at these, and pretty much every water brush I have will stain. I think the tips are stained on all of them except for the brand new ones I haven't used yet. So I just wanted to make sure you don't get disappointed about that. So the Koi one, this is the medium size that came with my sketch box. I can get a pretty, I just gave it a little squirt there to get a little more water out. I can get a pretty good range of strokes with just that. And I've used this one a lot, so I mean I'm real happy with it. Can do little dabs. You know, pretty much works the same as the other one. And I'll show you the tiny one. I'm just going to slide some of these back so we have a little more working room. This is the tiny one, and the thing I noticed with this teeny tiny one is that it kind of feeds water constantly. So if you're trying to do some really dark details, you have to kind of be careful because it will keep feeding water even after you're kind of out of paint, but you can get a really nice detail with that. And those are the koi, and they come in a mini, extra short like I have here, and the one that was in my, that goes in my water brush. And the barrels are different. This one that was in my water brush is a soft, more flexible barrel, and this one is a more hard barrel. So just so you kind of have that information. Now the next brand I want to talk about are the Nijis, and they're pretty popular. I think they might have been the first water brush. They were the first ones that I had anyway, and I do have, I think I've got 3 sizes. I think this one's the biggest, this is the middle, and this is one of the smaller ones. These have a little bit stiffer of bristles, and it might be because mine are kind of old, and I have probably the first incarnations of these. So we've got the larger one, and let me see what size this one is. This one might be this, oh, maybe this one's a little bit larger actually, so I can push down and get a bigger stroke. You can also, you squeeze the barrel, it's got a fairly soft barrel, you can squeeze to let more water out. And then this one here is not as fine as the fine tip one from koi, but it is fairly fine, but it's quite stiff, so you just want to kind of keep that in mind. But they're not bad. They're reliable. I've been using them for a long time, and I've been happy with them. So those are the Nijis. So far, I'm not seeing a huge quality difference between any of these, quite frankly. Whatever you can find at an affordable price in your area, I'd say. Now, these are fairly inexpensive. I have been really pleased with these. These are the Prima water brushes. So the way they're sold is there's a 2-pack with a fine tip and a bold tip, and those run from about around $7 to $8 a set, and I really like these. I like the quality, I like the flow of the ink as a watercolorist. I really like them, and that's great because each brush is about $4, so that is good in my book. They were kind of designed, I think, to go with the Prima watercolor products that are designed for crafters and scrapbookers, and I think that might be why it came out at a lower price point, but whatever the reason, I really am happy with these and I recommend them. And these are my older ones. You can see the branding is actually worn off on those, and the tips are very stained, but it doesn't carry over to your next project, and I really like these. I think they're really great buy. They also have some flat tip ones. I think there's 3 flat tips in all, and I have, who knows, one of them is probably in my travel bag. The one that I don't have right here is a little bit wider. It's probably a little bit wider than that, than this one right here. So I'll show you these 2 sizes. I have to say though, I am not a fan of the flat tipped water brush from any of the brands I've tried so far, so I just don't find them to be that useful as a watercolor painter. Maybe as like for coloring books they would be more useful, but I honestly don't really care for them that much. Maybe if you're doing like cobblestones or something. I tend to work with like 1 round brush when I'm out painting, so that's me. So but anyway, 3 of these flat tip ones go for $10. So not very expensive. I think it's a real bargain. Now, when you're putting your caps on your water brushes, what I recommend is, well, clean your brush first. Don't put the dirty brush away, because then you'll have a nasty surprise when you go to paint again. I like to put my finger kind of against the bristles, and then just kind of tip it up and make sure that I'm putting the bristles in where I'm not splaying any bristles along the cap and damaging them, because that will make your brush more difficult to work with if that happens. So another bargain would be these Aqua stroke brushes, and these I think might be exclusive to Jerry's Artorama. A set of 4, so there's these 2 plus I think a round that's in between those 2 sizes, and granted these are fairly old and well used. That's like $12 or $13, so these are again another bargain there, you know, about $3 a pop. You can't really beat that. And we'll just swatch these out so you can see. Let's do, this is the big one, and it got stored without its cap, so it's kind of bent, and I can actually dip that in some warm water and form it with a little soap and let it dry, and then wash it out, and that will help it. I just haven't gotten around to that yet. And then we've got this smaller one. Now, I've always found this one, this brand, I like that they have, all of these so far, I've had like a little valve in there to keep the water from flowing out too fast. I find these are tough to squeeze, so if you have arthritis or anything where your strength in your wrist is compromised, I do not recommend these just for that. But if you have no problem with strength in your wrist, I think they're a fantastic bargain. But that's something that would really be cumbersome if you were if you had a hard time squeezing these, because you really have to squeeze them. This one's not so bad because it's bigger, but the rounds are definitely tougher to squeeze. So just kind of keep that in mind. Yes, it's a bargain, but if you can't, if it's not fun for you to use, then it's not a bargain, because you're not going to use it. If it doesn't feel good and you have a hard time squeezing it, you're not going to use it, and it's going to be a waste of money. So I just wanted to put that out there. So those are the Aqua Strokes from Jerry's Artorama. They might have them other places, but I bought mine from Jerry's. That's the only place I've ever seen them. Okay, so the next one, I want to try. Actually, I've never tried these. These were a company called Mutter contacted me and asked me if I would try their water brushes, and I said, well, it just so happens I'm going to be doing a comparison video. People had asked me for that, so if you want to send them to me, I'll be happy to include them. And I did fill them with water, and I'll just show you. This is what the water brush tips look like before they're white, before you use them, and shortly after using them, they will be stained. Just so you know, you have to be careful with the flats, and you have to make sure that you don't splay the bristles when you put them in. So first impression right off the bat, I am not impressed with how these want to splay out just on their own. So I'm going to see if I squirt some water, if they will come together. Okay, so that's coming together a little bit better. Let's do a swatch. Let's do a color I haven't used yet. Oh, nice purple. That'll stain for sure. So that's the widest brush that I've used so far. So if you're doing ribbons or something, I wonder how long it would keep that. You might have to constantly be adding water, or you're going to get those bristles to splay apart, and you'll have to be careful to get them in the cap without splaying them, because they do want to come apart quite a bit. Let's try this other flat here. It looks like the bristles did get a little crunched in their cap at some point. We'll do that in another color. But these are like $12 for 6, so again, it's a bargain. See, this wants to give me more of a dry brush effect, but then again, that might be something that you're interested in. I'm going to squirt a little bit of water and try that again. Yeah, it seems like it wants to give you more of like, it does hold together if you have more water on it, so you'll just have to use the brush fairly wet. But then again, like I said, I really don't use the flat water brushes that much. I'm more concerned with how the round ones perform. So I'll squirt out a drop. These are easy to squirt, which is nice, so I don't have any issues with that. I'm going to work a little bit lower on my paper there, just so we can have a little room. Since this one has more colors than the other one, I'll keep going in those same colors though, so I'll know they're connected. So this is one of the circles. Yep, that seems to work fine. And let's see, this is, oh, it comes with another small flat brush. Let's try that one out. I kind of like the small flat one, actually. That one's not too bad. I'm going to rinse it just to speed things up a little bit instead of squeezing on the paper towel every time. But in the field, I would just squeeze it and wipe it on my jeans or wipe it on a rag or whatever. And then let's see, have we tried any of the rounds? I got these two rounds, and it looks like a mini and almost like a micro mini. So these are tinier than the other ones that I've tried. So let's squirt a little water and see how those go. Did we go through 6? I don't know. Did we go through 6 of those already? All right, let's try this one with the orange. I totally gave up on trying to spell a word there. Oh, you didn't even see that, so let's move that up again. Try it again. I was going to spell Mutter because that was a brand, but let's just make an M. So you could press more and get a wider line, or keep the tiny net line by going on the tip. That's the smallest one. And let's do this medium one. I don't know why they make all these water brushes with white bristles, pretty much, because they always stain. Oh yeah, good control on the rounds. I'm really happy with the rounds. And I like the small flat. And let me try this round again, because I don't honestly remember what I just said about that round. We'll just do it with some red here. Oh yeah, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. So I would say for $12, there's 6 pens in all. For the 4 pens that I really like, 12 bucks, that's, you know, that's math. That's $3 each for the ones I like, and then there's these other two, but actually it's about $2 each if you're considering all 6 brushes. So that is pretty cheap. They're not the cheapest ones though. The cheapest ones are these Royal water brushes, and you get a 3-pack for $5. And these are pretty well available at, I've seen them in store at like AC Moore before, and they're pretty easy to find online. And you get 3 different sizes. I've got the mini and I've got the large, and the medium one I actually had used, I had another set of these and I used them to make my own glitter pens, so I think that medium one probably went to that project, but the medium one's right in between. They have a golden whatchamacallit, bristles instead of white, which is different from all the other ones. But the thing that I don't like about these is that if you're done painting for the day, even though it comes with a cap, I really recommend you dump it because it will leak. And look at this. Because it doesn't have that valve in there, it makes water control difficult, and look, it sucked up the color. It had water and it sucked up the color from my palette. So if I was doing a painting and I was going into another color, I would have to contend with all of this color that's in the barrel. And the reason we bring a water brush out with us to paint is so that we don't have to be washing our brushes out. So so that's why I don't recommend this. So you can see, just dipping it on my pan twice, I have that much paint in my well there. Whoops, I gotta squeeze some water out there. And it's really difficult to control how much water you squeeze out when you're working. So because of that, these are not recommended. They're very cheap though. They're 3 for $5. So, you know, I'll let you decide if it's worth it to you. But what I do recommend using this for is you could actually put something a little bit thicker in here, like a varnish, like a Future Floor Wax. And you could use it to glaze polymer clay or something like that. Maybe put some thin down Mod Podge in there and use it for decoupaging small things. You know, you still have to be careful you don't let things dry. But look, I already got some of that yellowy green inside of that barrel too. So because it doesn't have the valve, you can't control how much water is coming out easily, and it wants to suck things back in, and you do not want a brush that sucks things back in. And I have heard that complaint with other brands that I do not own, but I am not going to claim any faults or praise any brands that I don't have, because if I haven't used them, I can't in conscience do that. So there are the Pentel brushes that I've seen packs of 4 for about $12 on Amazon. They look an awful lot like these, but I haven't used them. But if anybody has the Pentel Aqua brushes and they want to comment, I would appreciate it. And also there's the Derwent water brushes. I don't know how new they are, but I know they exist. If anybody wants to comment on those, I believe the Spin Doctor has a tutorial or a demo with the Derwent water brushes. I don't have any, but if anybody wants to give me their opinion, they can. Now finally, this was a little treasure, a little treat, surprisingly good water brush. This actually came in my cheap Jerry Q Arts palette that I bought and emptied all the pans, and right here, this Jerry Q Art, and I actually took the pans out and I put Holbein paints right into the things, and I reused the pans for other paints. But this came in this little set. That's why I love this little box, because it had a sponge, a little ceramic water dish or ink dish, whatever you wanted to use it for, and then it had plastic pans within all of these, and I took those plastic pans out and washed them and used them for other paints. I put the paint that was in here, which was a really low student grade, but I put them in a huge palette that I have for the kids, where I don't care, you know, how robustly they use it, and so I use this for my Holbein paints. But it came with this, and I really like this little thing because it worked really well. So let me show you here, and I also want to show you how I fill a water brush, because I showed you that before, and I just saved these little water flavor containers, and you just give them you can fill them up into the sink and give them a little squirt and fill up your brush that way. I'm gonna have to pick up so many caps because I haven't been putting anything back on. But this little guy works pretty darn good. So let's get a color. I don't think I've used this blue yet. So we'll doodle over here, I guess. But I've had so much fun just playing with this little brush. When I first got those little Jerry Q paints, just to, you know, something to play around with. I was sitting on the deck watching the kids. But this also came, one of these came with one of my Mission Gold sets, and it just worked fine. And to take the cap off these so you can fill them with water, just give them a little twist. I thought you had to pry them off. You really don't. New information there, guys. And that's all you need to do. So if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to help you out. And if you have something to share, do that too, so you can help everyone else out looking to buy water brushes. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Until next time, happy crafting.